Hi everyone. So I have been meaning to record this. Actually, Spirit told me to record it a couple weeks ago. 3 weekends ago, I was guided into a very long conversation with Jesus. Let me actually step back for a sec and just let anybody know who's brand new to me. I communicate with directly with Jesus. Okay. So I was guided into a 11-hour conversation with him to basically finish the discussion, at least as far as I'm aware, finish it, about the types of twin flames in the twin flame mastery process. And after I finished writing everything down that he was teaching me about it, I believe I was preparing to do a reading for someone, and I kept the past few months, every time I do a reading for someone, I end up adding on all of this extra time at the beginning, explaining the types of twin flames, because it's not as simple as just stating A, B, and C. So when I started to record, Spirit told me to record this video right now that I'm recording so that I can use it for all of my readings. And this is going to be public as well. I don't mean for this to be like secret information or anything like that. This is meant to be public, but from now on, rather than at the beginning of every reading when I'm explaining to someone what type of twin flame they are, I'm going to have this video and then their reading so that they can watch this first, so that you can watch this first and learn about the types of twin flames. And then when I tell you what type of twin flame you are in your reading, you won't need to, I won't need to go into in-depth. You will have this reference point, okay? Now, that being said, I have a lot to talk about. And probably not everything that I need to talk about is necessary for the readings that I'll be doing as well. I am the type of person that I like to know everything. I want to know it all. Just give me all the information. I just absorb it up. I'm like, you could consider me like a lifelong learner, except that I don't want to pay to go to school forever. You know what I mean? So I just ask more and more questions. And I want to know it all, like I said, and I have a lot of clients who are like that too. So some of you may want to watch this video in its entirety and learn and soak up. Ignore the other words. Soak up every single like detail. And some of you might learn what you need to know, and then that's it, and you're good. And you might be able to set this aside, come back to it if you want to. That's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and record everything because this is going to be public as well on my Instagram and my YouTube and my blog, so that it's always available for everyone. And I'm going to go through all the details. I might, depending on the length, I might break it up into sections, so that makes it a little easier too. So that's my preface here. This is what we're getting into, okay? I'm going to explain to you the 5 different types of twin flames and the twin flame mastery process. And this is also going to explain to you how I am going to tell you what type of twin flame you are. You are not going to get this information from any other reader. There's no other reader who is going to tell you what type of twin flame you are the way that I do, okay? Because you will understand what I mean by that once I get there. But yeah, that's because of what I am channeling. Most other readers aren't even channeling about types of twins anyway. I don't think that, I think I've seen one person who does, maybe a couple more. And then let alone, it's also about the way I explain it. So when I had that conversation with Jesus, we basically came up with a method for me to explain it based on what he's taught me and what I'm going to teach you now. And that's why you'll see, like I said, it'll be super specific, and it won't, like, nobody else will ever be able to give that to you. I'm going to use myself as an example first. And I'm going to say this. You guys are going to have no idea what I'm saying, and I'm going to explain it to you as we go, okay? But I am an 11th generation twin flame of the 1st and 10th degree, okay? So that's what I mean by Nobody else is ever going to explain it to you that way. This is the lexicon that Jesus and I have prepared from me studying under him now and his explanation to me about twin flames. Now, I also want to give a more, not really a disclaimer, but disclaimer, I guess, before I start. So, like I said, just in case for anybody who is brand new to my page, or you're a new client and this is your first time getting a reading with me or anything like that, like I said, I communicate directly with Jesus. And I know that sounds weird. Most people don't even know how to react to that. It took me some getting used to even say it. Now I say it all the time. I'm like, I talk directly to Jesus. I destroy demons. This is my life. It's my life. It's been my life for a while now. I'm used to it. It's not weird to me. And you guys will get used to it too. I feel like you're really far away. Let's come closer. So long story short, I've been reading with cards and my clairs, claircognizance and clairaudience primarily, for a while now, and I honestly don't remember when I started. My Etsy, I started around the end of 2018, but I've been working with cards since like 2012 or 2013, something like that. So anyway, a long time. But I more recently, in the past couple years, started working with a pendulum much more. And by working with my pendulum, I have learned how to have direct conversations with Jesus. And that being said, in February of 2019, I received a direct answered prayer that was one of the most profound and hugely impactful things that ever happened to me. I was, at that point in time, I was at the beginning of my spiritual warfare journey. You will also see me talk about spiritual warfare a lot, and that's because I have defeated a significant amount of it. I have seen many clients go through it. I help guide my clients through it when they have spiritual warfare, and that is part of my purpose as well. So I talk about spiritual warfare freely also. So anyway, I was at the beginning of my spiritual warfare journey, and I was receiving these significant messages about my purpose and what was to come for me. And I was very overwhelmed, and I fell asleep crying, praying, asking for guidance, like literally saying, God, how am I supposed to do all of this? Tell me, how am I supposed to do all of this? And I woke up to a message in my Facebook Messenger from a girl that I had not spoken to in years. She was not a close friend, but she was someone who I had spoken to about a home-based business years prior. And we were still Facebook friends, but we were not in communication. I had seen that she is now a Christian seer, which is a psychic in Christian terminology. And she was posting online about witnessing for Father. And so she showed up in my Facebook Messenger 2 hours after I fell asleep crying, praying. And she said, Father put your face in my head this morning, and he asked me to message you. He wants you to know that he has big plans for you, and he desires to speak to you directly. And I burst into tears, because if that's not a direct answered prayer, I don't know what is. And lo and behold, 3 years later, 3 years later, because it was last year, I found myself having direct conversations with Jesus using my pendulum. And so here we are. And, I spent a good portion of the last year and a half, even though being very confident with my readings, also feeling doubtful at times because I felt unworthy. I felt like, why me? Why am I having these conversations with Jesus? Why am I giving this guidance about twin flames that I don't see many other people giving? I have received other amazing messages from Spirit through other people as well, talking about how I'm supposed to be teaching twin flames these different things that Spirit is teaching me and guiding me about, that they're not with other people. And I felt like I said, why me? Why, what makes me special? Or why not someone else? How do I know that I'm accurate? Things like that. And I will be the first one to tell you that I do not believe that any reader, including myself, is 100% accurate all the time. For one thing, that just doesn't happen. For another, we're all human. We're fallible. We make mistakes. We have egos because we can't even help it, because we're human. It's very difficult to completely separate the ego from the higher self. So, yeah, I just, like I said, I'm the first person who will tell you that nobody is 100% accurate, including myself. We all make mistakes. And it's not even just that there's so many reasons why a reader might not be completely accurate, from the type of spirits that they're connecting with, to how they connect, and that whether or not they are ensuring that their connections are completely protected, so that there's no interference from demons or trickster spirits, which that happens all the time. And so many people don't even realize it. Spirit spent the last year, I can tell you, Spirit spent the last year and a half with me, training me on how to connect in the best and safest way possible, to ensure that I'm always connecting only with the spirits of the highest light and for our highest best. And I always go directly to Jesus. There are other spirits that come through too, though. It could be angels. It could be other spirit guides that people have. It could be other deities. Like, Goddess Demeter randomly came through to talk to me a few weeks ago. Like, she literally interrupted me while I was talking to Jesus. I can tell because the pendulum starts shaking, and I envision it like spirits are like fighting over it and pulling it in different directions, and it starts shaking. And I'm like, calm down, calm down. Who's there? Who wants to talk? And it was Goddess Demeter, who is the goddess Ceres in Roman mythology. And never talked to her before. God knows the last time I even thought about her. She came through to talk to me. Okay. So yeah, other spirits can come through too. But like I said, spirit has definitely, and I say spirit all the time because that's the easiest way to say it. That it's easiest for other people as well. But for me, spirit means Jesus. Okay, so Jesus and any other spirits that have come through in the last year and a half have been teaching me the best and safest ways to connect, to ensure that I'm always getting the most accurate and most trustworthy sources and answers, and so that there's not interference. And I just have to say too that, I've had some ups and downs. I'm trying to be transparent here. I've had some ups and downs as well, because one of the things I've learned about this journey, this spiritual awakening journey and twin flame journey, is that it's not just about your twin flame. I mean, it's about yourself first, more than anything else. And then it's about your relationship with your twin flame. But part of that journey for yourself is in healing all sorts of other karmic cycles, and all sorts of other relationships that are impacting your present lifetime. That can be like karmic partners, or karmic individuals, and it can be soul group members as well. And that's what I mean when I say I've had some ups and downs as well in the last year and a half, because my soul group, who I was guided to, a lot of them I came into conflict with, unexpectedly, although also due to spiritual warfare. And it was very upsetting for me, because it made me stop and question myself too. Those were tests for me, and those were times when karmic cycles had to be cleared out and healed also for both sides. I pretty much every time, I think, if I recall correctly, pretty much every time it was traced back to a past life issue that had occurred that was kind of replaying in a way for healing. And then, of course, it didn't hurt that there was demonic interference also. But the point is that things were said at times, things were said or done that made me kind of go, that made me question myself. Like, once again, question my self-worth, question, you know, am I supposed to be doing this? Why me? All those things. How do I know that I'm receiving accurate information? One of the biggest things that stands out to me that I remember was someone saying to me, who do you think you are? Like, why do you think that you're right? Well, I mean, the only reason why I think that I'm accurate is because I'm communicating directly with Jesus. That's the only reason why. This is not me full of myself. Trust me, if they could feel what it was like inside me, inside my head and my heart, they would understand, but they can't. And they have their own journeys to go through and their own healing experiences to go through from all of this as well. And I have to, you know, let that go with love and light for them. And I want the best for them. You know, they don't understand the impact that they've had on me. They probably might think that they do, but they don't. But, you know, like I said, Spirit brought me through that teaching and healing process. And now I am where I am, and I've learned a lot, and I've honed my practice, and I've honed my ability to connect. And more recently, I went through some more deeply profound experiences that really kind of shut that door for me in terms of I'm not going to doubt myself anymore. I'm not going to question myself anymore. I know that every single one of my clients would tell me, stop thinking that way, because they have before. They have said you should be more confident. Excuse me. We all have self-worth wounds, right? So anyway, they have many clients have said to me, you should be more confident because the things that you said to me, like it's not possible that you could have known that. And you said the exact words, or you explained exactly what happened, or whatever it is. And you know what? It never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me when Spirit does that. And Spirit, it delivers those messages through me. But more recently, I was triggered, and I was questioning everything again. And I turned to someone who I knew that I could trust whatever came through them unequivocally, because this person, who some of you know, she is a trance channeler, and she, when she channels, Spirit is literally speaking through her. So, like, literally, like, takes over her body. And I know that she has already said, no, they don't take over my body, but they do. Like, she said, at the same time as she said, they don't take over my body, she also said, I don't like to open my eyes when I'm doing that because it feels weird, like it's not my eyes. I'm like, it's because they're taking over your body. So, it's when she gives you messages, it is like you are talking to God. And it is so profound. And she is someone who has become a friend. And so turning to her for guidance when I was struggling, it was not like me hiring an advisor either. And that was another thing about it for me, that I knew that there was, you know, she wasn't getting anything out of it, is what I'm saying. I wasn't paying her. She wasn't getting anything out of it. So this is completely pure messages from someone who is one of those rare people who, like, doesn't have an ego either. So, like, completely pure messages from a completely pure source. And she, once again, just like that message that I received in February 2019, she once again gave me it was a different person. She was not the same person, but it was once again deeply profound messages that she gave me. Like, I left her these voice messages in the middle of the night, crying, saying, questioning everything, and asking her for guidance. And next morning she woke up and she channeled these messages for me from Joy, who is an aspect of Buddha, from One Zion, which is a group of galactic beings. These are all different beings that speak through her. From Orion, from Father again, That one got me. I will say, she explains that in this case, Father is the divine masculine aspect of, I believe it was one Zion. But it got us thinking about who Father is to Christians. Now, I was raised Christian, so of course, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit has a deep impact on me. And that is why, if Father comes through, it is deeply impactful to me. And at first, she thought that it's not the same. But then, after we thought about it and I told her my story from before, she said, actually, it might be the same. And Christians just don't know that that's who they're speaking to. I'm going to actually discuss that with Jesus and find out. In any case, Father came through to speak to me. And she told me that Father doesn't usually speak. He usually gives light language. So it felt even more special. And every message, there was more that I can't remember. The Pleiadians came through. Jesus did not come through, but he was referred to. They referred to him as their brother, Ascended Master Yeshua, who is my guide. And they said that I am meant to work closely with him. So they all came through with similarly hugely impactful messages to me, reassuring me that all of my guidance is completely accurate and I don't need to second guess it or question it. And I'm not going to go into every detail of what they said. And to be honest, I can't remember every detail of what they said because it was about 30 minutes worth as well. But like I said, when it feels like you're essentially talking to God, and these hugely significant and impactful spiritual beings are giving you such significant messages, that was enough for me to say, okay, it's time to put those wounds to bed and put those fears to bed and not allow it to get to me anymore. And so I come to you all like with strength. I say that laughing because I'm crying. With strength, confidence, and humility, and an open heart. And that, I hope that you all know that I care deeply about all of my clients and the work that I do. And I take every step possible to ensure that it is the protected and the most accurate information for you. And I don't know why Jesus communicates directly with me, why I was chosen to receive some of this information, a lot of this information, and be the channel that is providing all of this about twin flames and whatnot. But for whatever reason, it's me. And I am not going to doubt myself anymore or second guess myself anymore. So, and she also told me, so like I said, we've become good friends. Actually, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about her at the end of this video because of what's going on with her right now that affects all twin flames in the 12th generation, which is so cool and exciting, but we'll get there. But in any case, she was giving me some other information, and she was shown that with every single reading that I do, Jesus is always channeling through me. Like, when I'm using a pendulum, I knew that. When I was doing a card reading, I didn't necessarily know that. And especially for someone else, as far as I was concerned, it could be their own spirit guides, it could be their own higher selves, which I do expect that their higher selves are there too. But anyway, so I didn't know for 100% certainty, although I suspected as much because I have a couple clients who, when they're talking to me, autocorrect will frequently change my name to Jesus, and it feels like it's spirit telling them Jesus is communicating through her. So anyway, she did tell me the other day that she saw confirmation that when I am giving a reading, Jesus is speaking through me, and he's also healing my body at the same, like healing and transforming my body at the same time, part of my ascension process. So that's kind of cool too, that when I am working for you Spirit is also transforming my body and making me and upgrading it and making me more crystalline and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, so I did not mean for my disclaimer to take 25 minutes, but I will make a mental note and put that in the comments for you, which there's no reason for me to tell you that at this point, but this is me. Okay, so let's talk about the types of twin flames. Like I told you, I do have a lot to talk about. We'll see here. We'll see here how much I'll go through and if I'll pause. Okay. I'm just going to start off with the 5 types of twin flames, and then I'll explain how you become each of them. So there are 5 types of twin flames. Monadic Twin Souls, which do not have a soul split. The Monadic Twin Soul, how can I say this? You are a Monadic Twin Soul before your soul splits. After that is differential twin rays. Next is identical twin rays, then twin flames, and then twin flame masters. Okay? So, to explain how you become each type, I need to kind of step back for a second and tell you about soul mastery processes, which this was new information to me. This was part of that 11-hour conversation. So, before a soul becomes a twin flame, it's just a single soul. First time becoming or first time incarnating as a person, although really you don't become a person first. Let's just say first time incarnating and starting this whole process of discovering what it's like to be alive. Let's say that. Each soul goes through a soul mastery process. And there are, as far as I'm aware at this point in time, there's 3 different soul mastery programs that souls go through. There might be more. Like, listen, as much as I know all of the amazing things that Spirit has explained to me, I also know that there is so much that I don't know. So this is what I have learned so far, and this is what I understand it to be so far. So first, the single soul goes through a soul mastery program, and then becomes a twin flame and goes through the twin flame mastery program, and then becomes an ascended master and goes through the ascended master program. Okay? Each program, soul mastery, twin flame mastery, ascended mastery, each one is 12 soul ascension cycles. One soul ascension cycle is 12,000 years. Okay? So, soul mastery program, you go through 12 different 12,000 year ascension cycles. Same thing with twin flame mastery program, same thing with ascended mastery program. Now, I did notice that 12 times 12 is, or 12 times 12,000 is 144,000. So that number is a common theme. Now, there are more than 144,000 twins on Earth, but the numbers of twins on Earth are in multiples of 144,000. At this point, I don't know exactly how many twins are on Earth. That's a conversation that I need to go back to Jesus and have again, but I do know that it's in multiples of 144,000. But that number is common. Look, here it is, 144,000 years for each soul mastery program. I know that when the DNA upgrades, it becomes like 144 strand. So 144,000 is a significant number for a significant reason, okay? The soul mastery program is the soul going through all of these cycles and lifetimes of learning all sorts of different lessons. You know, I have not asked Jesus at length about the soul mastery program because my focus was on the twin flame one, but like I said, 12 cycles of 12,000 years each. And there is a little bit more that I wanted to talk about with that, but I think I will come back to it. So a soul goes through the Soul Mastery program. At the completion, you have to do a minimum of 12 cycles. Consider that like K through 12, or if I don't know what it's called in other countries, so that's for the US. So that consider that like kindergarten through 12th grade mandatory school that the soul has to go through, okay? At the completion of that, you graduate, you finish the program, and then you have a choice. You can either continue to go through soul ascension cycles as a single soul, or you can become a twin. And it's up to you when you're ready to become a twin, okay? Any soul can go to have as many more additional soul ascension cycles as they would like to have. And when they're ready, they can become a twin. Now, the first twin is the Monadic Twin Soul, but they are not starting the Twin Flame Mastery program by becoming a Monadic Twin Soul. The Monadic Twin Soul is like an introduction to the Twin Flame process. It's getting like a sneak preview, so to speak. Because remember, I said the Monadic Twin Soul is not a soul split. So the Monadic Twin Soul is when, and honestly, I don't 100% understand it either. The Monadic Twin Soul, you are still one soul. There is some type of separation between the Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine, and there is a healing process that you go through. Monadic Twin Souls go through twin flame journeys. They go through that deep, profound metamorphosis process of healing and balancing the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine energies within, and coming into inner union. And that is their like preview of what the twin flame journey is like, but it is not a full-blown twin flame journey because they're not a soul split. Monadic Twin Souls do not have another person who is their soul split twin who they feel this overbearing ache and need for. They can have a person, but it's not the same as a normal twin, okay? So, or a soul split twin, I should say. A Monadic Twin Soul, I'm scrolling through my notes, okay? Like pages and pages and pages of notes, Jay. So if it takes me a minute, that's why. Okay, this is what Jesus told me about Monadic Twin Souls. Monadic twins do not have a soul split like the rest of twin flames. They were created from the same soul energy, hence having a frequency match, but they are still individual souls. So when a Monadic Twin Soul meets another Monadic Twin Soul that they feel that connection with and that they want to be with, it's more similar to a soulmate because they're still two separate souls. They're experiencing a twin flame journey, so that it's similar to the twin flame journey, and that's the preview of that experience. It's preparation for when they become a soul split twin. But each of those Monadic Twin Souls that might be drawn to each other, they are still experiencing their own separate soul journeys and missions. And they do not have that pull to one another and that need to be with the other the way that soul split twins do. They do not have the cords connecting each other. So those Monadic Twin Souls, like you could, whatever cords do grow, you could cut those because they're not soul split twins. And they do not have twin flame cords. They have normal cords. They are drawn to each other because of the matching frequency, but they don't have cords together. They can come into union together because that same matching frequency, it draws them together. They being a higher frequency and a twin frequency, they don't want to be with other people who are not twins, who are not Monadic Twin Souls or some other type of twin. They still are drawn to and want to be with these other Monadic Twin Souls, but it feels differently from other twin flames. And, you know, I feel like I can already hear some people saying that's not true, whatever. The bottom line is that someone who is a Monadic Twin Soul doesn't know what it feels like to be a twin who is a soul split twin. I know it's very, very similar, very similar. But I've also heard many Monadic Twin Souls talk about how they don't feel like that intense need for the other person. And that's because it's not a soul split twin. And that person is not the other half of their soul. It's someone who's a frequency match. It's like making a quilt and you're taking fabric from the same fabric swatches, if that makes sense, if I said it the right way. But it's not the same soul split. It's not the same original. What was I just going to say? I was also going to say it's also similar to how, meaning that they don't understand the difference and what it feels like. That's the same as saying that someone like our family members and our friends who are not twin flames, they don't understand what we're going through. There are spiritualists. There are spiritualists who don't believe in twin flames because they haven't experienced it. Anybody who has not experienced what it's like being a twin flame does not know what it feels like. And they like claim that it's not true, claim that it's not real, but they have no idea. And they can't say that because they have no idea. So anyway, Monadic Twin Souls have the same mission as Twin Flames in terms of helping with ascension, but their individual missions and their individual paths might be different. I was specifically told not to use the term Twin Flames for them. That's why I say Monadic Twin Souls. They are lumped in with Twin Flames because of the same mission and higher frequency, who they are evolved souls and are more ascended, but they are not yet soul split twin flames. And so that's an important distinction. And they are not part of the twin flame mastery process. It's like an introduction cycle. There was one reader who I saw talking about and explaining about different types of twins, although she used very different terminology. But she did refer to Monadic Twin Souls, and one of the things that she said about them, I have it here somewhere, but I'm not even sure exactly where. She said that they don't need to be in a romantic relationship. That is one of the qualities or aspects about Monadic Twin Souls. Like I was explaining to you, it's not a soul split, and they find these other people who are a similar frequency match because of being the higher vibration, higher frequency Monadic Twin Souls. But because it's not the soul split, they don't have that intense romantic ache either. So Monadic Twin Souls are more likely to be able to just be friends. They can even be family members. And they can have more out of the box dynamics than what so many other twin flames experience. And that's because they don't have that soul split and they don't have that need to be romantic with each other. There are misconceptions about Monadic Twin Souls because a lot of the teachings, Monadic Twin Souls is probably the other type of twin that is the most spoken of online. And from what I have seen, that there is a misconception about them. It is believed and it is spoken of that they are rare and that it's like they are more advanced than other twins. But it's actually the opposite. They are very rare. There's not as many Monadic Twin Souls as other twins, soul split twins, but they are not more advanced. The reality is that they are actually, they are in the introductory cycle and they don't have the full-blown twin flame process yet. So the reason why they seem more advanced is because it seems easier to them. They're able to work through the journey more easily. They're able to come into inner union more easily. They don't have that intense ache that, you know, they look at other twins and like, why do you feel like that? Why are you acting like that? You have so much healing to go through. Like, then that makes them seem more advanced. It's not that they're more advanced. It's that they have an easier journey and an easier process because they're not a full soul split twin yet. So, and they're actually in the very first stage. It's not even, it's like a pre-stage to twin flames. And they're just learning about it, basically. Souls can choose to experience the Monadic Twin Soul cycle more than once as well. Just like I told you that after completing the soul mastery process, they can have as many more soul ascension cycles as they want. Same thing with Monadic Twin Souls. They can be a Monadic Twin Soul as many times as they want. Now, I should have said that differently. I am not talking about as many lifetimes as they want. I'm talking about as many soul ascension cycles as they want, which is also as many lifetimes, but it's multiplied by 12, right? By 12,000. So if you enter a soul ascension cycle as whatever you enter a soul ascension cycle as, you have to complete it. So if you enter it as a single soul, you have to go through it as a single soul. If you enter it as a monadic twin soul, you have to complete it as a monadic twin soul. You don't change and level up to the next one until you complete the soul ascension cycle. You have to go through ascension again. So it's a minimum of 12,000 years. Let's see if there are any other notes about monadic twin souls that you should know. I do want to talk about how there can be more than one match, so to speak, or more than one partner, but I want to come back to that because I haven't discussed quads yet. If you are not new to me, you know that I've talked about quads and other continually replicating twins, but if you're new to me, you have not heard that before, so I don't want to jump ahead. So let me come back to that. Okay, so that's the monadic twin souls. Next is differential twin rays. And that is the first time that the soul splits. And that is when, that is the first soul ascension cycle in the twin flame mastery process. When I say generations, I'm referring to which cycle you're in. So remember I said that I'm an 11th generation twin flame of the 1st and 10th degree. 11th generation, 11th soul ascension cycle. Differential twin rays are the first soul ascension cycle. Now, what makes differential twin rays differential? This is the first time the soul splits. The monadic twin soul goes through their soul ascension cycle. They ascend. They complete the process. They have decided, well, I'm saying they, I should say, they is referring to multiple souls, but it is one person, one soul, one person that decides they're ready to split. Okay? Sorry. So the monadic twin soul decides it is ready to begin the soul split twin flame mastery process. And at the completion of that soul ascension cycle, at the end of the transition period before starting the next soul ascension cycle, that's when the soul will split and it will become differential twin rays. It's always going to be differential twin rays first. The reason why they're called differential, and remember I said that the next one is called identical twin rays. So the difference between that is about how the soul is separated. Actually, I should really refer back to my, oh good, it's right here, my notes on this, because I had a long conversation with Jesus about this too. And it was very complicated. I remember being like, do we have to keep talking about this? So, oh, sorry. I fell down the stairs in April and my tailbone is still not okay. So it's hard for me to get comfortable right now. Have my special pillow and everything. Okay. So the difference between the two different types of twin rays, differential and identical, is in about how the soul is separated. So that is honestly getting into details that I don't know. That is at a soul level. Spirit knows, your higher selves know how they are determining the way that the souls are separated. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's like a puzzle. It's a complex puzzle is what I'm doing with my hands. Spirit decides exactly where they're cutting and how they're dividing and separating the soul, okay? And I'm sure that there are specific reasons and guidelines for how and why the soul is separated the way that it is. But in any case, there are a couple important things to factor into it. So with differential twin rays, the differential stands for and means that they still retain their own free will. So the soul splits, becomes the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Each of them still have their own free will. This is not the same for the rest of twin flames. After that first generation, first soul ascension cycle, for all of the rest, the 2nd through the 12th, they have they share free will. All the twins share free will between them. Differential twin rays is the only time that free will is still separate and retained by each person. Perhaps that is because it's still kind of like a beginning stages of the twin flame process. You know, the Monadic Twin Soul is still one soul. First soul ascension cycle, it's that one soul becomes two. They still have their own free will. They're still learning a lot about this process. Perhaps it's like a transition period from going from a single soul to two. And so for whatever reason, differential twin rays, they have their own free will. So that means that they have much more ability to choose their own paths and journeys. For generally speaking, all twin rays, doesn't matter if they're differential or identical, all twin rays they're still going through, usually, they are still going through a lot of lessons, a lot of healing, a lot of growth. They're finding their way. Twin rays are not guaranteed to come into physical union with the other twin, and that is because they are going through so much still in lessons and growth and healing and spiritual awakening. They're at the beginning of the process, so they just have a lot more to learn. I consider the twin rays, both types, I consider that like undergraduate school and getting your bachelor's degree. Okay. Now, it's important for me to say that that is not the case for all twin rays. Like, it's a case for majority of twin rays, but you will see when I explain later on. When you get to the 12th generation, there are still going to be some twin rays there, but they're in the 12th generation. And honestly, I would say 10th through 12th, this would apply to. That they've just done it so many times that if twin rays in the 10th through 12th generation, that's 10th through 12th soul ascension cycle, they have been a twin ray 10, 11, 12 times. So they have done a lot. They're not as new to this. There's some reason why they're still a twin ray, but they have accomplished a lot. So twin rays in the 10th, 11th, and 12th generations are much more likely to be able to come into union. Some of them are guaranteed. I have a client who is a twin ray in the 12th generation, and Spirit has told her that union is guaranteed for her, but it's not the case for all twin rays. Okay. I am going to talk more about the breakdown of free will versus soul will for twins overall, but I'm going to come back to that. Okay. So the other things that Spirit specified, first of all, like I said, alluded to, the primary difference between differential and identical twin rays is that differential, they have their own free will. Identical, they share free will. The reason why, actually, I don't know that. I thought I had a specific statement written down, but I don't. Remember, I said this was a confusing conversation when I was trying to understand from Spirit the differential versus the identical aspect. That is the primary difference, okay? The free will aspect. I believe as well that there is more consideration given into the breakdown of how the identical twin rays are separated. Because here's the thing. At the end of each soul ascension cycle, when they come into union, the soul completely reunites and then it is split again. So for the next soul ascension cycle. So let me backtrack for a second. I am not talking about an individual lifetime. I am talking about an entire soul ascension cycle. In your lifetime right now, you may or may not come into union, depending on what type of twin you are and depending on where you are at in your journey and your twin flame mastery process in this specific lifetime. But in this soul ascension cycle, everybody will come into union by the end of the soul ascension cycle. It's a given. Now, if that's this lifetime or the next one or the one after that, we don't know. or we might know, but I'm speaking generally. So that is an unknown. But in this soul ascension cycle, by the end of every soul ascension cycle, everyone comes into union with their twin. It's just a matter of which lifetime will it be in. Okay, so that's one thing that I need to clarify there. So at the end of the soul ascension cycle, when the twins come into union, they do get to spend, remember I referred to a transition period? There is a transition period. How long? I think it depends on which you're going into. I'm not going to get into that right now. There's a transition period between soul ascension cycles. So after the twins come into union, they get to spend that transition period where they would like to, like if they want to like enjoy time being together in union for a period of time. And honestly, that could even be, that transition period could even be just like the end of the soul ascension cycle. Like they were able to come into union early enough in their lifetimes, that they have a little bit of time to spare. So they have this transition that they can enjoy. When the transition period is over, before they enter the next soul ascension cycle, that is when the soul will reunite fully and be separated again. And when it's separated again and it becomes an identical twin, whether it's an identical twin ray or twin flames or twin flame masters, there's more care and consideration given by the higher soul aspects and God and spirit of how the soul is separated. Okay, so that is where another aspect and difference comes into the differential versus the identical. And I really can't expound on that more because I don't know. But it seems to me like the way that I understood it is that the identical twins fit together like puzzle pieces, that they fit together perfectly and no one else can fit in there, if that makes sense. I feel like with differential twin rays, it's not as intricate, if that makes sense. But I don't really know how else to explain it. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, there is one, Spirit was adamant about explaining a little bit more to this. So let me just go through that. Okay. Actually, before I explain that, let me explain how identical twin rays are made. So the differential twin rays go through that first soul ascension cycle as differential twin rays in the twin flame mastery process. They complete their soul ascension cycle, they ascend, they come into union, they ascend, and they're ready for the next soul ascension cycle, the second to become second generation. When this happens, like I just said, the soul recombines, reunites, remerges, and then it splits again. Well, this time it splits 4 ways. The 2 becomes 4. And if you've already been following me, you know I've explained about the quads. So the 2 becomes 4 and becomes a twin flame quad. In the quad, 2 are twin flames and 2 are identical twin rays. And let me also say, the twin flames and the twin flame masters, they are also all identical. I am not using that term because it's not necessary. You only need the differential and identical terminology to separate the 2 different types of twin rays. But twin flames and twin flame masters are all identical, okay? That being said, the 2 becomes 4. It's 2 twin flames, 2 identical twin rays, okay? Now, when this split occurs into the 4, Spirit was very specific to me to explain that the soul will split first into 2 soul flames, the divine feminine soul essence and the divine masculine soul essence. And then those will split again. So there's 2 divine feminines and 2 divine masculines. So the soul splits into 2 soul flames, the divine feminine soul essence and the divine masculine soul essence. And then they split again into the 2 divine feminines and the 2 divine masculines. But even though that is the way the separation occurs. Spirit and their higher selves ensure that the connections with the appropriate, like, so the divine feminine and divine masculines are appropriately matched together. The twin flames are the ones who hold more memory consciousness from the first lifetime as differential twin rays. The identical twin rays, they are essentially new, as kind of created for the first time, and they hold less memory consciousness of the first generation, first soul ascension cycle. So this is why the twin flames are, you could say, outrank the identical twin rays, but I can't think of another way to say it, even though that's not really quite right. But it's like, one way that I kind of think of it is that it's like the twin flames, this is their second time doing it. They did it the first time and now they're doing it a second time. Whereas the twin rays are more so it's their first time. But that's not exactly right either, because they do experience it. It's just, it comes down to the intricacies of how the souls are split. And that is beyond what I am able to understand and explain to you, okay? Especially when we go beyond this. So all I can tell you is that this is how Spirit explained it to me. They go into the soul essences, and then they split into the divine feminines and the divine masculines, and Spirit and God are just fucking amazing and know what they're doing and match them up together in exactly the right way. And the twin flames hold more memory consciousness from the first cycle than the identical twin rays do. One last important aspect to this, I don't usually ask Spirit this question. If you want to know, let me know and I will ask for you, okay? But when it comes down to the way the souls are divided, there's one more question that could be asked, and it's cut favoring which lineage. This was another thing that when I had this conversation with Spirit, they were adamant about explaining it to me, okay? So it's either going to be cut favoring the ancestral lineage or the starseed lineage. And what that means is that if you are a twin who has been cut favoring your ancestral lineage, then that means that the way the soul is divided is in favor of the bloodlines here on Earth or whatever planet you're on. Because let me preface this by saying I'm explaining the cycle, the process for all souls, all twin flames, anywhere in the universe, not just on Earth, okay? But yeah, if you're the soul is divided favoring the bloodline lineage. If you are cut favoring the starseed lineage, then the soul is divided favoring your galactic soul ancestry and your galactic soul lineage. Why this occurs, I don't completely know, but I do know that with the 12 generations of the Twin Flame Mastery process, generations 1 through 6, those soul ascension cycles will all occur on a 3D planet, whether it's Earth or another 3D planet. Cycles 7, 8, and 9 can occur on a galactic world instead. They don't have to, it's up to the souls. But you cannot have a soul ascension cycle on a galactic world until the 7th, 8th, and 9th soul ascension cycles and the 7th, 8th, and 9th generations of the Twin Flame Mastery process. So my suspicion is that that has something to do with how those souls are cut at those times and favoring the starseed lineage instead of the ancestral lineage. Cycles 10, 11, and 12 are, the souls are generally back on Earth, although they have more room to do both. They are supposed to spend more time on, well, the 3D planets, whether it's Earth or another planet, because the 10th, 11th, and 12th soul ascension cycles are preparation for the Ascended Master program. And so the 10th, 11th, and 12th cycles, that is when those twins are communing with Ascended Masters as well. that hence me having conversations with Jesus. And actually now I understand that better. And my friend who I mentioned earlier, she is now communing with, like, she was channeling galactic beings and ascended masters and deities anyway, but now she is communing with Isis also. And it's different. I will get to that later. But I am communing with Jesus. She is communing with Isis. And it is not the same as simply channeling them. It's part of the 10th, 11th, and 12th generations of being a twin. And it's part of your twin flame mastery process. And it's preparation for becoming an ascended master. All twins go through this when they get to these stages, okay? It's not just us. So yeah. But the communing aspect, they're with you all the time. Like, it's not just for me, it seems like my personal spirit guide. But for her, Isis is part of her right now. This happened recently. Isis has joined her in her body. And she can differentiate between Isis's inner voice and her own. It's like a walk-in without one soul leaving. So some people have that to look forward to. I don't know why mine is a little bit different now that I understand that I'm communing with Jesus, but I'm also 11th generation and she's 12th generation. So it could be something to do with that. In any case, the point is that the 10th, 11th, and 12th generations, soul ascension cycles, that is when they're preparing you for becoming an ascended master. So you are meant to be on Earth more or on the 3D planet more, and you are, you can have lifetimes in galactic worlds, but the soul ascension cycle as a whole is primarily on the 3D planet. Okay. Anyway, I was talking about cut favoring the lineage. So, I know that I am cut favoring the ancestral lineage, and the ancestral lineage for me is also connected back to the ascended masters. So that makes sense to me. And I don't feel a strong pull to my starseed lineage. Someone who is cut favoring their starseed lineage is going to feel more of a pull to their galactic soul ancestry, and they are going to have more lifetimes where they are connecting. No, I said that wrong. I believe that they are in that time frame, that time period in their soul ascension cycles where they are having, I would say that it's recent. It's recent to their galactic lifetimes, or in preparation for their galactic cycles, I should say, their galactic family is connecting with them, because it's kind of like the future versions of themselves and the future soul family connecting with them, if that makes sense. It's kind of like time travelers. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not at the same time when you consider the aspect that all lifetimes and everything happen in parallel, not linearly. So, but those are profound concepts that are hard to grasp, so I'm not going to go there. Anyway, my point being that I believe that those who are cut favoring the starseed lineage are just simply at a stage where they're closer to their galactic lifetimes, instead of working with the ascended masters. So, is there anything else about that I need to explain? I don't think so. Okay. So it's a little simpler after that, and not at the same time. Okay, so that's through the quads, right? And I told you that there's the 2 twin flames and the 2 identical twin rays. Well, after the quads come the octaves, of course. Basically, you have 12 generations. Twin flames just keep multiplying. And that's because it's part of the soul mastery process, and it is also part of what is needed on a 3D planet in order to ascend. The twin flames and the advanced souls are needed to assist the ascension process. So that is another reason why twin flames keep multiplying. So basically, the quad will go through their soul ascension cycle. At the end of the soul ascension cycle, the quad will remerge, come into one, and then split into 8. 4 becomes 8. And that will happen over and over and over again through the 12 soul ascension cycles. So the way that works out, the third soul ascension cycle is the octave, the 8. And in the octave, that's when twin flame masters are introduced. So in the octave, in the third generation, there's 2 twin rays, 4 twin flames, and 2 twin flame masters. That is when the twin flame masters are created. After the third generation, the fourth generation, the 8 becomes 16. The fifth, 32. Sixth, 64. Seventh, 128. Eighth, 256. Ninth, 512. 10th, 1024. 11th, 2048. And 12th, 4096. So by the 12th generation, that one soul has become 4096 separate people. And each have their own twin flame match, and they all originate from that same original soul, but they're all on their own journeys. And really, that whole process is a miniature version of the oneness principle. Because the oneness principle is that we are all one. The entire population of the world, all of the world and of every world, the entire population of Earth and every planet and everywhere in the whole entire universe, all is one, is all God. It all goes back to God and source. And it's just from God's source, it keeps separating and becoming other beings and other beings and other beings and other souls, until you have, millions and billions of people and beings and all over. So this twin flame mastery process of one soul splitting through 12 generations and ultimately becoming 4096 is like a miniature version of that. And I do believe that part of the reason for that is to help us understand the oneness principle. It is a lot to wrap your head around, though. And honestly, let's not try and go there. You don't need to stress about all of these other versions of yourself. You are not going to come into union with all of these other versions of yourself. That's not how it works. Okay. You just need to understand that the souls keep splitting, and it's like a family tree, but it's a twin flame tree. I call it the twin flame soul group tree. Okay. So with each, I don't have the paper with me, but I did write out up through, I think I went through the 5th generation, actually. I think I wrote up to 32 so that I could map it out and see how it would work out. And there's always 2 new twin rays minimum. And then there's always a certain number of twin flames, and there's always a certain number of twin flame masters. I cannot tell you why certain souls might, like if you looked at the tree, the twin rays, there's 2 souls that will continue to be the twin rays all the way along. Instead of branching off and becoming twin flames and then twin flame masters, there's 2 that will always continue to be the twin rays through every generation. Why exactly, I don't know for sure, but I can tell you that the client that I have, who's a 12th generation twin ray, Spirit told us that their souls chose to anchor the twin flame soul group. So that is why their souls chose to be the twin rays every time, instead of branching off and leveling up, so to speak, to twin flames and twin flame masters. And it's not like they did anything wrong. It's not like they didn't do something they were supposed to do. Their souls chose to anchor the tree and keep it stable, rather than always having brand new souls in that role, if that makes sense. the way that I see the difference is that, like I said to you already about twin rays they are getting their bearings in this twin flame process. They are really conquering their inner wounds and their inner struggles and their traumas and past life issues and all that stuff. And honestly, all twins are, but it's harder on the twin rays. Like, they have to do, it's harder work for them working through that stuff. The twin, and here's the key, actually, I think, and the reason why twin rays are not guaranteed to come into union. Twin rays are able to and more likely to give up. Twin rays have the potential to just decide that it's too hard and it's too much work to facing the deepest, darkest parts of themselves, working through those healing processes, and they are more likely to give up. Now, I did tell you that by the end of their soul ascension cycle, they will come into union, but I'm talking about in the individual lifetimes throughout that, okay? So in the individual lifetimes within that soul ascension cycle, it's a lot harder process for the twin rays, and they just struggle through it a lot more, and that's why they're not guaranteed for union really until like the very, very, very end of the soul ascension cycle. And so they're right now in this present lifetime, the twin rays are the people who are able to give up and walk away and choose not to continue this journey, choose not to deal with spiritual warfare, things like that. Twin flames, they're doing the same hard work as the twin rays, but the twin flames are absolutely 100% committed. They are not giving up. Like, nothing can stop them. The twin flames are the people that you talk to who are like, I absolutely, like, I cannot be with anybody else. I won't choose anybody else. This is my person. I don't, like, nothing, no karmic partner can interfere. No soulmate can interfere. They're steadfast. They're sure. They still struggle. They still go through ups and downs. Trust me. But they are not going to give up. If spiritual warfare and stuff comes to battle them, they are going to conquer it and defeat it. They're not going to run the other way. I've seen twin rays run the other way, not want to deal with spiritual warfare, or deal with the tough stuff, even if it's not spiritual warfare, even if it's just like dealing with addictions or dealing with abandonment issues, attachment disorders that are really tough. The twin rays are the ones that will throw their hands up and be like, I choose me. I don't want to deal with this. Twin flames are the ones who do the hard work to understand the process, to understand their twin, what they're going through, why they are the way they are, work through all of the healing, conquer all of the inner demons, whether they're actual demons or not, defeat the spiritual warfare, not allow the karmic partners to get in the way. The twin flames are the ones who get in, dig in, and do the nitty-gritty hardest work. Honestly, out of all the types of twins, the twin flames are the ones doing the hardest work. Okay. What was I just going to say? Oh, so like I said, I consider the twin rays like the undergraduate. I consider the twin flames like the graduate school, the master's programs, stuff like that. The twin flame masters they have gotten through the hardest parts of everything. They have done the hardest work, They've gotten through the twin ray stages. They've gotten through the twin flame stages. They've gotten through the hardest parts of the twin flame mastery process. And now they've leveled up to twin flame master, and it's easier for them. It's easier for them to heal. They still have to go through the healing processes, just like the rest of us, but they find their way through it more easily. I have a client who's a twin flame master who, like, she literally just started her twin flame journey earlier this year, and she's already she's in inner union. She still has her moments, just like anybody, but she's essentially in inner union already. And I was like, how the heck? How the heck are you already in inner union? I told her I actually had to step back and ask spirit again, is she definitely a twin flame? But because I thought maybe she was a twin ray who was able to give up. And that's what I thought was going on, that she was able to give up. But what it turned out was that when she first came to me, it was before I was explained, or before it was explained to me about twin flame masters. So then after that, I clarified that she's a twin flame master, and that's why it's so much easier for her. When you see twin flame coaches or twin flames in general, they're talking about how it should be easier, it shouldn't be toxic, it should be just a divine relationship that's, it just works. I see that here and there, and it can be frustrating because there's so many people who are like, I know this is my twin flame. Like, don't tell me it's not my twin flame just because, we're going through separation. Oh, the ones who say you don't go through separation, like, those are the twin flame masters. The twin flame masters, they have it easier. Some of them don't have to go into separation, and some of them don't have to deal with difficult dynamics, even toxic dynamics at times, because there are wounded divine masculines who are truly twin flames, who are doing behaviors, doing things that would be considered toxic because they have such significant, whether it's abandonment wounds or attachment disorders or whatever it is. And they're not, toxic. They're not narcissistic. They're not whatever. They just have these stages that they're working through in their healing process where they behave in those ways. And sometimes it's spiritual warfare too. Sometimes they're behaving badly, so to speak, but it's really because there's a karmic partner doing black magic to them, or there's a demon attached to them. And so many times people don't realize that. They don't realize the effects of that black magic or those demons. So those things are huge too. That makes a huge difference. That's something that I'm very passionate about, if you haven't noticed. Like, helping people see that and understand that, because that spiritual warfare needs to be removed so that your twin can heal and become the true version of himself that he's meant to be, or she. So in any case, the twin flames are the ones dealing with those difficult periods. The twin flame masters are much more likely to not be dealing with those difficult periods, to be able to come into inner union quicker and more easily, sometimes not have separations, awaken faster. A lot of times when you see divine masculines who are awake and able to be leaders in the spiritual community as well, those are much more likely to be twin flame masters. So the twin flame masters just have it easier, and they are meant to be leaders and to be examples for other twin flames and for the spiritual community as a whole. And they are just meant to set examples. I consider twin flame masters like the PhD program. So, I just got something in my eye. It's like a eyelash just fell in. Oh. Okay, it's still there, but I'm going to try and go on. Okay, so those are the 5 different types of twin flames: the monadic twin soul, the differential twin ray, the identical twin ray, the twin flames, and the twin flame masters. When I tell you what type of twin you are, I am going to tell you which generation you're in. So, and that'll be which soul ascension cycle you're at in your soul's twin flame mastery process. I'm going to tell you which type of twin you are. I'm going to tell you, so then the last part is going to be of the blank, blank, and blank degree. That's telling you how many times you've been a twin ray, how many times you've been a twin flame, how many times you've been a twin flame master. So I told you that I'm an 11th generation twin flame of the 1st and 10th degree. I've been a twin ray 1 time, the 1st degree, and I've been a twin flame 10 times, the 10th degree. I have not yet been a twin flame master. I do have some other examples that include all 3, but I don't know them off the top of my head, of some clients who were different versions of that. But basically it would sound something like a 10th generation twin flame master of the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th degree. I said 10th generation, right? So if a 10th generation twin flame master of the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th degree would be a twin flame master in their 10th soul ascension cycle who's been a twin ray twice a twin flame 3 times, and a twin flame master 5 times. So when I tell you what type of twin flame you are, that's going to be the breakdown. That's what I'm going to be explaining to you. And I will say that also, but just so you know and understand all aspects of that, that's what I am alluding to. Where you're at in your soul ascension cycles with your twin flame mastery process, how many times you've been a twin ray, twin flame, or twin flame master, and what type, of course. And then, like I told you, if you want to know if you're cut favoring ancestral lineage or starseed lineage, you can ask me. I don't normally ask that, but I can ask that for you if you want to. Honestly, there's a lot more I could go into. I think I'm just going to go into a little bit just to flesh out a few more things about this, okay? And I think I will do a different video or two about the dynamics and stuff like that. Oh, there is something important that I need to explain, actually, now that I think about it. Okay, so one of the other things that I'm scrolling through my notes to see what I need to talk about here. But one of the things that's important that Spirit revealed to me with this, I used to believe that false twin flames are not real. And then eventually I had some clients who what they experienced was that Spirit told them someone was their twin flame, only to later reveal that it was not a twin flame, and that it was actually a karmic partner. And so then I felt that those were false twins, and that is very rare. And out of all the clients that I've had, and I have over 1,000 orders on Etsy, out of all the clients that I've had, I could count on one hand how many times someone has had a false twin like that, in which Spirit told them this person was their twin when they really weren't. The reason why Spirit does that is because you need to go through that cycle with that person in order to learn certain lessons, and even more importantly, in order to clear the karmic cycle, because it's almost a definite that that karmic cycle extends back into past lives, and something needs to be cleared there. Something needs to be healed and cleared there in order for that cycle to be released with that person. There's a soul contract there. So that soul contract needs to be cleared. And that is the biggest reason why Spirit would do that and why Spirit would lie to you. And Spirit is lying through an advisor, because that's more often than not the way that the person is thinking that this is a twin flame. They might be getting it directly from meditation themselves, but more often than not, Spirit is using an advisor to tell someone that. So there's another example of when an advisor would be wrong, when the advisor wouldn't even know that they're wrong, because that's Spirit. That's Spirit choosing to tell that person the wrong information. But it's also happening for a reason, in order to make Spirit essentially making that person fulfill this contract and cycle, karmic cycle that needs to be completed. So that is what I believed false twins to be. And very similar to karmics, except the only difference being that with false twins, Spirit is telling them that this is a twin. Well, I have to introduce a new dynamic to that. Now that I understand, the way twins replicate, I think of that, by the way, like mitosis, if you are science oriented. Twins keep replicating like mitosis. But anyway, now that I understand that, and now that I understand the dynamics of how the twin flame soul group works, I understand that there are karmic partners and there are false twins. Karmic partners are not part of the twin flame soul group. They are separate. They can be part of your soul family, not in the twin flame tree, not in the twin flame family tree, but part of your soul family, which is a separate group of souls that are more like soulmates to you, that are people who are meant to accompany you in lifetime after lifetime. Those karmic partners, even though they are playing a negative role in your life at this time and in many past lives, they're not always negative. And they are just fulfilling that role for what you need to experience in this lifetime. Okay. So those karmic partners, like I said, they're different. They're separate from your twin flame soul group, and they're fulfilling a role. They're not like don't necessarily consider them soulmates, although sometimes they're soulmates. But it's more about that they're soul family, and they are serving a purpose in your journey as well, okay? False twins are real and are different from karmic partners. False twins are part of your twin flame soul group and your twin flame family tree, so to speak. So in your generation, and in your generation as a twin, where you're at with, if you're in the 5th generation, and there's 32 of you, there's 32 of you, you are going to have your one primary twin flame match who you are supposed to be with and who you are supposed to come into union with. But along the course of your journey, you might interact with other members of your twin flame soul group, whether that's twin rays or twin flame masters or other just twin flames. You might interact with other members of your twin flame soul group. It's more often than not, I have a percentage here, I have to find it. More often than not, it's going to be someone who is like in your primary quad. Okay, it's maybe your octave, but they're usually going to be close to you. It's usually going to be like that direct split. Okay, it's not as likely to be someone who's like way out here in your twin flame tree. Okay, it's more often that it's going to be in your quad. But you can interact and have relationships with the other members of your twin flame soul group tree. And when you do, that is when it's a false twin. And when that occurs, the false twin that is another member of your twin flame soul group, they are fulfilling whatever role is needed for your journey. And sometimes they might be making sacrifices in order to ensure that you go down your path the way that you're meant to. And sometimes you might be helping each other. There is a whole variety of the ways that these dynamics can be. And I think I'm going to do a different video about that. But yes, you can have other interactions and other relationships. Like it could be romantic, it could be friendships, it could be anything, really. It can be soulmate type. Like there could be a twin ray or a twin flame in your twin flame tree that will play the role of a karmic partner for you, or could play the role of a karmic soulmate for you. A karmic soulmate is a relationship that is meant to be temporary, but is not a toxic one. Is more like it mimics a soulmate. So basically a good relationship or a bad relationship. They're both karmic because they're temporary. And another aspect of karmic would be that they are releasing these cycles from the past lives or from earlier in this lifetime as well. So the other members of your twin flame soul group can fulfill those roles, whether it's mimicking a karmic partner, mimicking a soulmate, or what. And that is when there is a false twin. And in many of those cases, spirit might tell you that this is your twin. And in some of those cases, spirit might not tell you that it's your twin. We are now in a certain stage of awareness in the world and the communities that twin flames are more well known. So there are people out there looking for their twin flame and they don't even know if they have one, because a lot of people don't have a twin flame. And that's what kills me, that there's people out there looking for a twin flame and they don't even know if they have one when not everybody has a twin flame. And there are people out there teaching that everybody has a twin flame when that's not true either. Everybody will have a twin flame at some point in their soul's growth process, but not all at once right now. So it is also very possible that spirit doesn't tell someone this is your twin flame, but they just come to that conclusion themselves, either because they are looking for a twin, so they jump to the conclusion, or because those relationships mimic the twin flame journey and the twin flame qualities, because it's part of your learning process that you're supposed to go through. So that is something that is important to note, because it is a big difference. And you can have I have seen people have a relationship with someone that they believe is their twin flame, and then it turns out that that is not their twin flame. It is a member of their twin flame soul group who fulfilled that role for them, and now they're going to go and meet their twin flame. Okay. Okay. How much do I want to talk about here? Still. There is a lot that I could continue to explain, if I'm being honest. But I think that I'm already at an hour and a half. And I think I covered the most important things. I was going to explain the breakdowns of free will and soul will and spiritual warfare, but I think I will save that, and the continued explanations of the just qualities and dynamics and stuff like that. I think I will save that for another video. I think we covered the most important parts: the types of twin flames, the twin flame mastery process, and when I'm explaining to you what type of twin you are, what that means. So I think this is actually a good place to stop. I think the only other thing, just so I don't leave you in suspense, oh, I'm not going there. I had mentioned that I would explain about the communing with an ascended master. So I have not asked Spirit at length about the Ascended Master program. I simply know that after a soul completes the Twin Flame Mastery program, the soul moves on to the Ascended Master program. It is also 12 soul ascension cycles. In preparation for that, like I explained earlier, the 10th, 11th, and 12th soul ascension cycles, those twins, all of them, will start to connect with Ascended Masters more, even commune with them, like I was explaining, and you are being prepared during those soul ascension cycles for when you become an Ascended Master. And many of those twins will become master healers in their current lifetimes and soul ascension cycles as well. And I say that because I see it happening. So, like I was telling you about my friend, she, a few weeks ago, had Isis join her, and she can feel and sense the clear distinction between Isis and herself. And it is as if Isis's soul has joined her in her body, like a walk-in, so like two souls in one body. She's not crazy. She does not have multiple personality disorder or schizophrenic or anything like that. Like, she has the clear distinction from before and after this happened, and she's completely sane. I know that everyone in any person who is not, on a spiritual awakening or anything like that would just be like, you need to be committed. And people would tell me that. But it is just fascinating conversing with her, because she will, Isis will speak, or she'll be telling me, Isis is saying this, Isis is saying that. Isis is teaching her mindfulness and training her, and healing her body and transforming her body, and preparing her for union. She is actually only just starting off her twin flame journey, but Isis is preparing her for it. And this is actually, this is why I wanted to talk about this. This is actually the really amazing and cool aspect of this, which I had no idea was a thing, but now I know it's a thing. Part of the reason why these twins in the 10th, 11th, and 12th generations commune with the Ascended Masters is so that when they come into union It is not just the energy of their high vibrational unions. It is also bringing in the energy of the Ascended Masters and their unions as well. So like she's communing with Isis, her twin is communing with Osiris. And when they come into union, when she and her twin come into union, Isis and Osiris will also be kind of piggybacking on their physical union and experiencing union again as well. And so that is assisting Ascension by not only providing the union of the incarnated twins, but also providing a secondary union of the Ascended Masters coming into union again as well. And so that is amplifying the high frequency aspect of the union that helps ascension for humanity and the planet even more so than normal union. And that I think is just freaking amazing. I love talking to her because every time she's coming through with these amazing insights and guidance from Isis and then all of the other beings that she connects with as well. So the communing with the Ascended Masters, which occurs for all the twins in the 10th, 11th, and 12th cycles. Well, it's definitely the 12th. To be honest, I need to confirm about 10th and 11th, but I'm in the 11th, so I believe it's the 11th as well. And Spirit told me earlier on that the 10th is when you start preparing for it. So maybe it's a case where the 10th generation, it's not all. It depends on you and if you're ready. But by 12th generation, it's all. Spirit was clear about that. By 12th generation, it's all twins. All twins in that 12th generation. So the first purpose in communing with the Ascended Masters is in preparing and aiding for the twin flame journey and ascension process. The second purpose is in initiating the twins into the Ascended Master program, preparing them for the Ascended Master program. And then the third purpose is in amplifying the energy and the frequencies of union by the Ascended Masters re-experiencing union as well through their human counterparts that they are communing with. And the Ascended Masters can do this with more than one person at a time. Like Isis is communing with more people than just this one person at a time. So all of them are. This is this is a method for the Ascended Masters and higher spiritual beings to be able to lend their energy and vibration and presence to the 3D realities and aid in the ascension process during the times of ascension. And also by bringing in their higher dimensional unions as well. It is orchestrated this way for a reason, and it is needed in the times of ascension. So there you go. So I believe that is everything that we need to cover right now. And I will be back to elaborate on more of the qualities and dynamics soon. Okay. Thank you for listening. If you are receiving a reading from me next, then I hope you enjoy your reading as well. And if you are watching publicly, then I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to ask any questions. Comment, like, subscribe. I never say that, but I'm so used to hearing people say that on YouTube now that it's like ingrained, starting to become ingrained. Because I don't like to say that stuff, but if you are watching publicly and you would like to get a private reading, then you can go to my Etsy shop and you can place an order with me directly. I think that's it. I also have mentorships available. I do have mentorships available through Patreon, but I actually have a good number of people now who wanted to set them up privately and customize them rather than what's in my Patreon. So if you want to talk to me about customizing a mentorship for you, please feel free to reach out. And I think the only other thing would be I am going to get this information printed as well. I know that this was a long video. I am going to add it to my blog. I'm going to add it to the top of my Instagram. And you will have reference points for it all. Let me just add one more thing since I mentioned that. At the top of my Instagram, I have a very popular post about the waves. It has come to my attention now that I have channeled about the different types of twins, that those waves that I channeled about, Jesus has told me that that is for twin flames specifically. It is not for twin rays. It is not for twin flame masters. It is only for twin flames, okay? So that's important to keep in mind. And I'm going to be updating that too. Okay, that's really it. Oh, actually, you know what? I will add one more thing. Many of you may know that I've been doing collective healings this year, that Spirit has guided me to start doing collective healings. Ever since the Lionsgate portal, Spirit has guided me to do them live. Well, not necessarily do them live, but to do guided meditations. Doing it live is harder because I have a lot to work around in my schedule, and people are all over the world as well. So, I mean, my clientele is. So, it's not frequently live. But before, I was doing the collective healings and I was explaining to you guys what happened. And now I'm doing guided meditations, and it's still a collective healing. We're still, healing the world together. But now I am recording the meditation for you to listen to and participate in as well. So those guided meditations, Spirit has guided me to have them in my shop as well, available as well. The feedback that I have gotten from them has just been absolutely incredible and amazing. And I'm so glad, because it's a very different experience when you're recording it versus listening to it. So I'm blown away by the experiences that Spirit is guiding people through my guided meditations. So those are in my shop as well. Everything has different categories so that it's easy to find. And I also have the healings available there too. So twin flame readings, as well as many other types of readings. Twin flame healings and other types of deep inner healing work, past life healing work, all of that stuff. I have categories for that in my shop. The guided meditations, like I said, spirit baby readings, and womb healing and stuff connected with that. The messages coming through from the spirit babies has been really awesome and amazing as well. I'm learning a lot from that too, because the messages that they are giving, and lots more other goodies in there, but those are the main ones that people ask me about, so I just wanted to mention them. And now I think that's it, but if not, oh well. Okay, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening. Talk to you later.